I'm David Blandy. I'm an artist that works with the self, community and the digital age. My work commons, commissioned for the Open Road, is a meditation on how we live together and how different objects relate to each other. Thinking about ourselves in relationship to deep time.
Here, we meet to tell our tales. Our stories move across seas, across eras.
We're here to tell of our lives as they were, and the lives we have now.
We've each been summoned to walk this road together, a pilgrimage across time.
When I started thinking about the commission, it was very much thinking about what the core of the Canterbury Tales was. Chaucer's Canterbury Tales is very much a portrait of a society coming to kind of a new understanding of itself. And so I wanted the work to be very much conversation between different things, to try and find out relationships across both space and time. For the film, I was given full access to the Amelia collection as well as the Beanies collection, and also the collection at Screen Archive Southeast. So there was these different archives that I was really thinking about. There were all these different types of objects that lived inside these different collections. And one that I was quite fascinated by was the taxidermy. So it's things that have been live that then have had this other life through becoming a museum collection object, item. So they've lived inside this space, but after their death. So it's this kind of strange alive but not alive sort of state, which I think has sort of a relationship to filmmaking in general. It's sort of this thing of you're capturing a moment, but then it becomes sort of set in stone. It becomes this kind of a dead thing that continues to have another life, that continues to communicate with other things. One really interesting object that kind of sparked a thought in me was the crow that came from the beanie. That made me think of the pilgrimage that Amelia Scott took part in the early 1900s, which was towards women's suffrage, and it was all the suffragists travelling, making a pilgrimage to London to protest against not having the vote. The idea that maybe this crow had witnessed that journey, had been a kind of almost a kind of a bystander to this moment, inspired a kind of a small part of the work, and thinking about how our actions impact on both the world and kind of the wider world, not just the human world, but kind of the other than human kind of consciousnesses that exist in this place.
Now I wait to be crushed by time and weight, one entity among many. Finally, one with a great shifting mass, the crust of the earth.
I defended my patch, checking the boundaries, foraging for my young family, always wary of the men and their dogs.
Through the course of the project, I wanted to work with both live film and three-dimensional video. So thinking about using 3D models of spaces, rather than working with game technology, which I have many times in the past, using things like Unreal Engine. I started to use Blender, started to kind of think about it more in terms of almost like a sculptural object, but in 3D space, rather than as almost like a game object that you might kind of relate to.
We congregated here, the sand and silt from 1,000 streams, forming endless layers, pushing us together and down, compacting.
I put together the film as a 2-channel film, so it's 2 screens, each kind of often either kind of playing 2 objects against each other, so thinking about the relationship between 2 things, or mirroring the 2 spaces. So it becomes, especially in some of the landscape shots, it becomes like this one great entity that is the 2 sides mirrored, and you're kind of looking at them and thinking about them both as a single place, but also as this kind of more monolithic, strange kind of mirrored space. That really came from the idea that I wanted the whole film to be around conversation, about this kind of talking between these different things. That comes through into the script as well. The voice changes between 3 different voiceovers as they kind of embody these different objects, these different subjectivities within the space.
And on this mass, we found a foothold, a place to crane up to the sun, to grasp the rays and catch the carbon in the air, sucking the goodness in the old rock. This land was ours, once, but we learnt to share.
The work is really site-specific in the sense that it takes on the objects that exist in that space, but I think really it's a has far wider ramifications. I think it's about trying to find new forms of community, trying to find new ways to really exist together through conversation. Like how do we keep relating to one another, keep understanding each other's lives if we're closed off and don't talk across generations, across spaces, across lives, across time in a way. So it's kind of a call to action, to actually live in common rather than try and kind of atomize into these different spaces.